Hi, what's going on? I'm Matt Besachio, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 2 of the Marlboro Shamrock Football Podcast. Episode 1 featured the new GM of the Shamrocks, Adam Ingalls, and the new starting quarterback, Dave Donahue. And today, in studio, we've got the new offensive and defensive captains of the Shamrocks, offensive lineman Mike Hurst and linebacker Brian Miller. Guys, thank you so much for taking some time with us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Not a problem at all. You guys are coming off a Week 2 victory against the Hartford Rebels, 22-14. This week, you're looking forward to a game against the Boston Bandits in Boston. But before we talk about either one of those games, we're going to jump right into the introductions. Brian, first off, congratulations on being named captain of the Shamrocks. Long history of the Shamrocks, so it's quite the honor. But you know, if you could just start off by just telling us a little bit about yourself, your football career, and how you became a Shamrock.
Yeah, definitely. So, born and raised in Staten Island, New York. I've been playing football pretty much all my life. Started out in 7th grade for Staten Island boys, and then went into Port Richmond High School, played high school ball there. Also went into American International College, played linebacker there as well, too. I graduated. I was very, very big in healthcare throughout my entire career. Quick story, my house burnt down when I was about 4 years old on Christmas Eve. Oh. And the doctors and firefighters brought all the gifts from the house to the actual hospital. So that's how I really got my foot into kind of healthcare. So right now, my 9 to 5, I'm a healthcare administrator. I oversee a few divisions: cardiology, cardiac surgery, vascular surgery. Neurosurgery was one, medical specialties, flow pool, and I'm taking on GI for UMass Memorial right now. And I also do a bunch of other things on the side. First and foremost, I am a husband to my lovely wife, Baisley Miller. We're going to be celebrating our 7-year anniversary on Monday.
Congratulations.
We have 2 beautiful boys, a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old right now, Brian and Braxton. And then we also own multiple businesses. So I'm also a realtor, real estate agent. So if there's anyone who's definitely looking, for houses,
we do a
shameless plug right now.
We do a real estate show here bi-weekly. So I mean, maybe we can link up with that. He's a realtor. No, he's not a realtor. He helps in like the financial aspect of the lender. So maybe you two could link up for an episode of one of his shows, Home Buying 101, for people that are watching at home. Check out our video on demand for that.
Definitely. I'm also a financial advisor as well too. My wife and I own a travel agency, B the Millers, the letter B, THEMILLERS, on all social media platforms. And when looking to travel, definitely send us an email at Gmail.
Okay.
I also own a logistics and operations business where we have a fleet of trucks that we run throughout the entire nation. I also own a record label, which is...
Is there anything you don't do? Maybe we should have just asked that from the beginning of the interview. Is there anything that you aren't involved in? That is incredible, Brian.
I dabble in everything across the board. My big goal, number one, is to become a CEO of a hospital, and also to have a paycheck two paychecks every day for 7 days of the week. So looking at always definitely having multiple streams of income.
That's incredible. Really good for you. I mean, I work this job and I work another part-time job, and I work pretty long hours, but I'm listening to you say all that stuff and I feel very inadequate right now. No, but
he's got time for football.
That's crazy that you can fit something like this in and stay dedicated to it. That's really incredible. But you've been named a captain. You're a leader. How would you say that all these other experiences and things that you have to balance within like your own personal life help you be a leader on the football field?
Definitely. I think, naturally I've always been gifted with leadership roles and capabilities. I think also it gives the ability to always be a leader, whether it's in business, and then throughout my career, I've always been captains as well too. This year is a little bit different. I'm usually more of the laid back, set an example type of captain, but this year I think it really calls for being a more vocal captain around an entire team. We have a very new team, very young, I should say, as well too, and as you know, a lot of individuals who did leave or retire on their own, and we're really rebuilding on these things. So this year, being a more of a vocal type captain, someone who can be seen, in individuals' eyes as someone to look up to.
Yeah. Do you see this as like a great opportunity for you as a leader in this time of transition where you have so many young guys that are so malleable?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think, leading by example and being able to help individuals grow, help individuals learn the plays, being a person to look up to as well too. And again, being that go-to person has definitely helped. I think the team, I don't know if Hurst could allude to it. I think the team, the defensive side, they definitely do look up to me. And I always try to share the knowledge and make sure that individuals feel comfortable when they're coming onto the team too.
That's great. Now, Mike, with you, you told me that you're on vacation right now. So for those that didn't see the episode from last year, can you just tell me about what it is that you do?
So I'm actually the team lead for Crossroads Commons, which is an adult program for young adults with autism-related disorders. We're a community-based day program, so enriching the lives of our individuals through off-site activities. A big part of that is vocational sites, choosing like what they like to do in the community. So going to the gym, maybe they like to play basketball, so we're going out to the court. So just kind of enriching their lives and giving them a bit of normalcy, right?
Of course. Just
because they might have autism or a different diagnosis doesn't mean they don't have dreams and aspirations like you and I. And I think a lot of people maybe brush them off across their lives. So giving them the opportunity to live their day as they want it, getting every single opportunity that they deserve, that's where I come in, work through them. So just seeing them, their families shine and smile, like for me, that's a huge thing. So I'm very blessed that we opened back in March, so we've not even 6 months now. We're up and running, tons of vocational sites, tons of activities for them to pick and choose and have a say what they want to do with their lives. So it's been great. I've been with Crossroads here in Marlboro for almost 8 years now, working in the school. So there's a little bit of a transition from the school to a DDS program. So a lot of learning curves. I'm sure. Being in a leadership role there as well. So I'm growing as a leader, as a team member, as someone that's working in a new program completely. So I have a lot to learn and hopefully a lot of knowledge I've gained working in the school that I can pass off to my teammates.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, like, what's transferable? I know the work environment is vastly different, but, being a leader, being somebody that people look up to, how have you kind of used these skills that you've taken professionally and then brought them to the field?
Yeah, absolutely. So one big thing I always like to say is leaders lead from the front. So if I'm not showing my best effort, whether it's at work or at football or any other aspect of my life, if I'm not going out and doing something with 100% effort and showing that it can be done, how can I expect anyone else around me to do the same? So that's kind of what I've always believed in.
Yeah, and I would ask, what's your leadership style? But anybody that's seen you play over the last few years would know that you are fiery and intense, to say the least. But
completely different from the field, from work.
Yeah. And now with this new leadership role thrust upon you, do you find yourself having to temper that at all? Or are you just riding that out and that's just going to be who you are?
I think when it comes to football, that's who I am. I'm very focused, and you'll see me, kind of keeping my cool. And then at some point during the game, and this is what happens, is we don't score, we have a bad drive, turnover, and we come off the field and people have their heads down. People are starting to get at each other. And it's that moment that's like, you see that, and as a leader, as a teammate, you're coming off and you still have 3 quarters to play. And all of a sudden, everyone's kind of folding in on themselves. And it's like, we're grown adults. Like, someone's going to need to speak up.
Right.
I take that upon myself because I know I'm playing at a certain level, and I expect everyone around me to be at that level too. So sometimes we just need to get a little fire lit under us, and
it needs a kick in the pants.
Exactly, to say it nice, right? Yeah. So I'm never going to change like that on the football field. That's who I am. I love this game. I play with passion. I play with heart. So I'm not going to tune that down because I'm in a different role. And even if this is my first year as a captain, guys have always looked up to me as a leader.
That's great. Yeah. Great. Now, Brian, the defense week 1 didn't perform up to expectations. Mm-hmm. Standards of years past, giving up 40 in that loss in week 1 to Southern New England. But you guys did bounce back in week 2, just allowing 14 points to the Rebels. Everyone knows about the turnover and who's not here, who is here. But from your perspective, how do you feel as though the defense has come along since the very first practice, and especially since that week 1 loss?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's about building relationships and really building chemistry. As you know, like what we just said, the team is very fresh, very new. We have a lot of new guys in different places, and we're also building a different different base front as well too. So over the last few weeks, I know our DBs, our linebackers, our D line, we've been getting in film sessions. We've been obviously going out together as well, and again building that type of chemistry, building those relationships. That's going to give us that opportunity to really showcase our talents across the field. And I think this week we should definitely be able to showcase the growth compared to our first week. And again, I think we're going to continue growing as well.
So from your vantage point, it's not a talent thing. It's a being able to have the amount of time to build continuity thing.
Yes. Yep. We're semi-pro. We're practicing once a week. It's tough to always build that and be able to be on the same page when it comes towards a Saturday game. So as we continue throughout the season, I think we're definitely going to get a lot better. And also, get into our fits, feel each other out, and be able to play off of each other.
Okay, great. Mike, on offense, week one, you guys were blanked. didn't and I don't mean to pile on. It was a bad week for everybody involved.
Yes,
WMCT-TV, but you also did bounce back somewhat in week two. You score 16 points in the first half, only 6 points there in the second half. So again, how do you feel the offense is coming along, over the course of the first couple of games?
Yeah, just like Brian said, it's semi-pro. I mean, it's tough to create something with 1-2 days of practice, with film sessions and whatnot. And especially when you have a core guys like, Blake, Brett, both leaving, Johnny a couple years ago, all of a sudden you're rebuilding that core. So it's not like this is the same core of the guys that have been running the same offense for 6 years. Right. It's brand new guys learning a new system, trying to get involved. So every week we are getting better. That's our goal. You're setting goals. You're trying to check them off as you go. You're not going to start off at 0 and your next goal is be on top of the mountain, right? So we have to climb our way up there. But each week our offense is getting better. We're learning to play with each other. We're learning each other how we play, whatnot, and just kind of gelling and meshing together. And it's a trust thing, right?
Yeah.
If you're not getting all those reps, it's hard to trust the man next to you. So that's what we're working towards every week.
And the quarterback is always going to be a hot topic of discussion. So how do you feel Dave has come along also? Being in this new role, having to take over for somebody that was so successful over the past few years. How do you think he's doing?
I think he's doing great. Him and I have come really close over, last couple of months. Phone calls daily and whatnot. I can tell my wife gets upset with me because she's like, who are you talking to? I'm like, Dave. She's like, oh, your new boyfriend. I'm like, all right. But yeah, so, he's really stepped up, and we had this conversation was as we came closer to the Troy game and, who's going to be QB1, talking with him and being like, hey, man, you need to step up and be that leader. Like, if this is going to be your job, you need to take it on. And for him, he was talking to me, he's like, yeah, it's kind of tough coming in and having this O-line, having Harry as a coach, one of the top coaches in, semi-pro, having guys around you that know what they're doing. He's like, it's a completely different environment from where I came from. So he kind of had to find his spot in there, and I think now that he's found his spot, he's done a really good job. And he's stepping up, and he's always being motivational. He's always being positive. And I think that takes a huge amount of effort, and it shows where we are. Because like Brian said, we have a lot of young guys. We have a lot of new guys. And if you're not creating that positive environment, guys are going to check out. They're going to fold. They're not going to be a part of it. Especially where we came off, that loss to Troy, the loss to Admirals. It's an easy way just to hang your head and say, all right, I'm out of here. And it takes a lot for leaders to step up and say, hey, this is only the beginning. We're not going to be on top of the mountain in week 2, right? We need to build. We need to climb.
So with the emergence of, a Southern New England who has just been super dominant over the past couple of years, now you guys have had people kind of coming in and out. It's a time, like we said, of transition. You can't necessarily say with 100% certainty, like you have the past few years, the Shamrocks are at least going to be in the championship game. But with that said, do you think, Brian, that might actually work to your benefit over the first few weeks of the season where expectations aren't necessarily through the roof and maybe you guys can kind of fly under the radar as you develop?
Yeah, I like that one. I remember when I first joined the Shamrocks. I'm 3 years in now, and I joined on with Lamar and a lot of the big names, and it was really we need an undefeated season. So the pressure was there for us not to lose any games, and I think to your point, right then and now we did get that loss already. And we know it's an uphill battle at the same time too. And yes, the pressure is on from an internal perspective, but I think the eyes from everyone else is is the Shamrocks still the same Shamrocks from before. So I think the pressure is there, but also it's not there as prevalent, and it allows us to be able to focus on our internal focuses and be able to mend and build as a team in order to get to the point where we need to make that run.
And next week will be another opportunity to take another step in that progression as you guys travel to Boston and take on the Bandits. Games against the Bandits are typically, big games no matter what, and this one is no different. I think mentally, probably for a team, there's a big difference between being 2-1 and 1-2. So I can imagine that this game is pretty big for you guys. So I'm just wondering, Mike, what aspect of the game, or what would be the biggest difference in your mind between winning this game this week and losing this game?
Yeah, I mean, to start off, winning means we're in control of the second seed. It means we, hopefully get a couple home games in the playoffs. So, it's week 3, but it's going to send a tidal wave out for the rest of the year. So it's a big momentum. Winning means a lot, right? Puts us in the second seed, gives us some momentum, gets everybody's heads up. All right, cool. We just beat a top team in the league. Let's build off of this. And I think the other side of it is losing it's a step back, right? Let's keep talking about climbing a mountain. If you're climbing up, taking those steps every time, and then you have a slip up and fall back down, it's going to be twice as hard to climb back up. So that's why I think every film session, every practice is super important for us to make that head and get where we need to be.
Right. So, it's going to be 5-10 minutes before opening kick. You're with your guys. You're the leader. What are you saying to your guys in those last few moments before you take the field?
Set the tone. Set the tone at the end of the day. I think, we always go out there to set that tone, be able to control and dominate the game, and dominate the field. And I think regardless of where we are now, compared to where we were 3-4 years ago, it's the same type of mentality. We have to go out there, set the tone, and dominate.
All right. Well, good luck to the both of you in doing so, and hopefully you guys will be able to improve to 2-1 and take over second place in the division going forward. So their game is going to be this Saturday in Boston. The following week, they're going to come back home to Kelleher Field. That game will be broadcast live here on WMCT-TV, so you can make sure you look on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter for those links. We'll be sure to put those out in the days leading up to the game. This podcast, along with the first episode here from Season 2, all the episodes from Season 1, and all of our other podcasts and interviews that we've done throughout the course of this past year can be found on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And if you're in the car a ton like I am, like 2.5 hours a day, and you don't have the time to watch, but you'd like to just listen, the audio version of this can be found wherever you stream your music. So once again, Brian, Mike, thank you very much for taking the time.
Thank you.
All right, not a problem. Once again, I'm Matt Besachio. This is the Marlboro Shamrock Football Podcast, and we'll see you next time.